Hello and welcome to Miss Hannah Loves Grammar. In this video we'll be answering the question, what is an adverb of time and what is an adverb of place? Let's kick off though by thinking about adverbs of time. Well, they add information of when action happens, they add information of how long action happens for, and they can tell us more about how often action happens. Adverbs of time are more than just thinking of specifically when. So when we consider when, how long and how often, there are words that are adverbs of time that we can rely on each and every time. Look at the words in black and categorise them as to whether they are adverbs of time that focus on when something happens, how long something happens for, and how often something happens for. Hit pause if you need thinking time. So, how did you get on? Adverbs of time that tell you specifically when something happens from that list are yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Adverbs that tell you for how long something has happened include for a year, all day. They give you the time span that something took place over. And for how often, we're explicitly saying or sharing how regularly something happens. So it could be rarely, which means not often, daily, once a week, fortnightly means once every 2 weeks, usually means most times out of 10, and sometimes means on occasion. What I'd love you to do is spot the adverbs of time in each of the sentences below, and hit pause if you need thinking time. So, what did you find? The doctor advised applying the lotion daily. Well, the adverb of time is daily and it's telling me how often I should apply the lotion. Isaac took a year off before going to university. So that's how long he took off. So the year is the adverb of time here. Stephen rarely plays sport these days. So he very rarely, that means it's not very often, how often he plays the sport is not regularly at all anymore. We get the impression though from these days, the other adverbs of time here, that he once did play a lot. Ross leaves tomorrow from the airport. Tomorrow is when he will be going. What you need to spot within each of these adverbs of time is that they don't just tell you when action happens. They tell you the more precise detail of how regularly the action happens and often how long that action spanned for. Specifically with the example we had with Stephen, we were able to guess some information based on the adverbs that were placed in the sentence. Now let's consider what an adverb of place is. As you'd expect, it adds information on where the action is happening, but it can also tell us information about the direction of the movement, either towards a place or away from a place. So let's take, for example, rolling downwards is the safest way to land. I'd love you to identify where the adverb of place is in this sentence. Hit pause if you need thinking time. So, rolling downwards is the direction of movement towards the place. So in this instance, it's the adverb of place, downwards. Let's look at a simpler example now. Simeon lived and worked abroad. The adverb of place here is obviously abroad because we're learning where he lived and worked. Spot the adverbs of place in each of the 4 sentences below and hit pause if you need thinking time. So, what did you find? Please move outside if you want to see the fireworks. Outside is the adverb of place here. It's very useful because it tells us precisely where we should move if we want to see the fireworks. That makes it the adverb of place. I could see them racing towards me. Towards me is adding more detail with the adverb of where they were moving, which makes it an adverb of place. And the detail we're getting is on where they were racing to. So it's adding more depth to the verb racing. Joanna swam somewhere beyond the sea. In that sentence, both somewhere and beyond are adverbs of place. Interestingly enough, they're both general. They don't tell us precisely where she swam to, but we get the idea that it was a very long way away. And finally, Maisie lives over there. So over there is directing us to where she lives. And we understand it must be somewhere in the distance, not close, because it might be over here if it was closer. Adverbs of place and time are critical to giving us the detail of when, how often, and how long something happens, in the case of adverbs of time. But with adverbs of place, they're telling us where the action is happening, and also the direction of movement when things are moving towards a place. Regardless of how simple or difficult you find this, adverbs of time and place are critical to our day-to-day lives. We use them without thinking. So now it might just be a case of refining your knowledge so that you are consciously aware of when you're using them. Why not subscribe to Miss Hannah Loves Grammar for all things English, literary and grammatical?